2025, the cracks begin to appear. The year 2025. For many, it was just another year. A year of iPhones, social media, and reality TV. Yet, beneath the surface, unseen by most, the first cracks began to appear in the seemingly solid foundation of our world. Cracks that would, over time, widen and deepen, ultimately leading to the dramatic transformation of the planet we called home. One of the first and most significant cracks appeared in the Atlantic Ocean. The Gulf Stream, a vital artery of warmth for Europe, began to falter. This seemingly small change, barely noticeable to most, was actually a harbinger of things to come. It signaled the start of a long-term shift in global climate patterns, a shift that would have profound consequences for the entire planet. Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, a different kind of crack was appearing. China's population, having reached its peak of 1.4 billion, began its long decline. This demographic shift, coupled with an aging population, would have a profound impact on China's economy and its role in the world. These two events, seemingly unrelated, were actually interconnected. They were both symptoms of a larger problem, our unsustainable relationship with the planet. We were consuming resources at an alarming rate, and our growing population was putting increasing strain on the environment. In the years to come, these cracks would widen and deepen. The Gulf Stream would continue to weaken, leading to colder winters in Europe. Climate change would intensify, leading to more extreme weather events and rising sea levels. China's population would continue to decline, leading to a labor shortage and economic stagnation. These events, individually and collectively, would have a profound impact on the world. They would lead to the collapse of economies, the rise of political unrest, and the displacement of millions of people. They would also lead to a renewed appreciation for the planet we live on and a growing awareness of the need for change. Looking back from 2100, it is clear that 2025 was a pivotal year. It was the year that the cracks began to appear in the foundation of our world. It was the year that we began to see the consequences of our unsustainable ways. And it was the year that we were forced to confront the difficult choices that lay ahead.
2029, a fever grips the planet. The year 2029. The year that saw the Earth, once a vibrant and verdant paradise, begin to feel the burn of our neglect. The fever that had been slowly rising for decades finally reached a critical point, with the global temperature crossing the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold above pre-industrial levels. This seemingly small increase in temperature had a profound impact on the planet's ecosystems. Glaciers began to melt at an alarming rate, contributing to rising sea levels and displacing coastal communities. Extreme weather events, such as floods, droughts, and wildfires, became more frequent and intense, causing widespread devastation. The events of 2029 served as a wake-up call to the world, forcing us to confront the difficult choices that lay ahead. It was a year that demanded action, a year that emphasized the need for a global shift towards sustainability and a healthier future for the planet and its inhabitants. Looking back from 2100, it is clear that 2029 was a pivotal year. It was the year that the fever gripping the planet became impossible to ignore. It was the year that we were forced to face the reality of our actions and the urgent need for change.
2030, a shadow that grew long and dark. As I stand here in 2100, gazing back at the ruins of our past, the year 2030 stands out in stark relief. It was the year when the shadow of obesity, long looming on the horizon, finally descended upon the United States, engulfing half of its adult population. This was not merely a matter of aesthetics or vanity. It was a harbinger of a deeper societal rot, a symptom of an unsustainable lifestyle that prioritized convenience and immediate gratification over long-term health and well-being. The consequences were manifold, each contributing to the unraveling of the fabric of our civilization. The healthcare system, already overburdened by an aging population and chronic diseases, buckled under the strain of this new epidemic. Hospitals overflowed, medical costs skyrocketed, and the quality of care plummeted. The workforce shrunk as millions struggled with obesity-related illnesses, further crippling the nation's economy. But the impact extended far beyond the realm of economics and healthcare. The spirit of a once vibrant and dynamic society was slowly being eroded. Apathy and despair replaced the optimism and can-do attitude that had characterized America's past. The pursuit of personal pleasure became the overriding goal, leaving little room for community, cooperation, and long-term planning. Looking back, one can see how 2030 was not just a year, but a turning point. It was the year when the seeds of our downfall were firmly planted. The obesity epidemic, with its far-reaching tentacles, became a potent symbol of our collective neglect, a grim reminder of the consequences of unchecked greed and unsustainable practices. It is a cautionary tale for future generations, a stark reminder that true prosperity cannot be built on a foundation of self-indulgence and neglect. Our failure to address this seemingly simple issue in 2030 laid the groundwork for the collapse we see around us today. May it serve as a lesson, a plea to prioritize health, well-being, and the future over fleeting pleasures and immediate gains.
2034, the promise broken, the future uncertain. The year 2034. A year etched in the memory of those who lived through it as the year the promise of a secure future shattered. The Social Security Trust funds, the safety net that generations had relied upon, finally ran dry. This wasn't just a financial crisis, it was a crisis of faith, a betrayal of the trust that had been placed in the system for decades. The consequences were immediate and devastating. Millions of retirees, many facing rising healthcare costs and stagnant wages, were suddenly left vulnerable. The social safety net that had provided a semblance of security was ripped away, leaving them exposed to the harsh realities of poverty and uncertainty. This event sent shockwaves through the nation, shaking the very foundations of our society. The promise of a secure retirement, a cornerstone of the American dream, was revealed to be a fragile illusion. The gap between the rich and the poor widened further eroding our sense of shared humanity and social cohesion. The year 2034 also marked a turning point in our political landscape. The trust deficit between the government and the people grew wider, leading to widespread disillusionment and anger. This fueled the rise of populist movements that promised easy solutions and scapegoated convenient targets. Looking back from 2100, the consequences of the Social Security collapse resonate deeply. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of our social systems and the dangers of neglecting our responsibility to ensure the well-being of our citizens. It was a year that exposed the deep inequalities that plagued our society and paved the way for the social unrest and political instability that we face today. We must learn from the mistakes of the past. We must rebuild our social safety nets in a way that is sustainable and equitable. We must ensure that the promise of a secure future is not just a privilege for the few, but a reality for all. This is the challenge that we face, and it is a challenge that we cannot afford to ignore.
2039, the lungs of the earth fall silent. The year 2039. A year that echoed with the mournful silence of a fallen giant. The Amazon rainforest, once a vibrant tapestry of life and the lungs of our planet, succumbed to the relentless assault of human greed. Deforestation, fueled by our insatiable appetite for resources, pushed this vital ecosystem beyond its tipping point, transforming it into a barren savanna. This ecological catastrophe reverberated throughout the world, marking a turning point in the history of humanity. The Amazon had served as a crucial regulator of the Earth's climate, absorbing vast amounts of carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen essential for life. Its loss unleashed a cascade of devastating consequences. The global temperature climbed further, accelerating climate change and unleashing its fury in the form of extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and mass extinctions. The intricate web of life that thrived in the rainforest, a treasure trove of biodiversity, was ripped apart, leaving behind a desolate landscape devoid of its former glory. The social and economic consequences were equally profound. Indigenous communities who had called the Amazon home for generations were displaced and their unique cultures threatened with extinction. The economic benefits derived from sustainable practices, such as ecotourism and traditional medicine, were lost forever. From our vantage point in 2100, the Amazon's fall serves as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the consequences of unchecked exploitation. It is a monument to our short-sightedness and a testament to the fragility of our ecosystems. But amidst the despair, a glimmer of hope remains. The year 2039 also marked the awakening of a global movement determined to protect the remaining natural treasures of our planet. The tragedy of the Amazon serves as a rallying cry, urging us to change course and build a future where humans and nature can coexist in harmony. The lessons of 2039 are etched upon the very fabric of our existence. We are duty-bound to learn from our mistakes and build a future where the Earth's remaining ecosystems are not sacrificed at the altar of our insatiable consumption. We must remember the Amazon, not as a lost paradise, but as a reminder of the responsibility we hold towards the planet that sustains us all.
"2040, the cracks become chasm." The year 2040. A year that marked the culmination of the long brewing storm, the point where the cracks in the foundation of our civilization finally became an unbridgeable chasm. The systems we had built, the institutions we had relied upon, crumbled under the weight of their own contradictions. The collapse began with the cascading failure of interconnected systems. Social security, long a symbol of stability and security, finally ran dry. The global financial system, riddled with unsustainable debt and speculation, imploded. The very infrastructure that kept our cities functioning, power grids, transportation networks, communication systems, began to fail, plunging us into chaos and darkness. The social fabric, fraying for decades, finally tore apart. The gap between the rich and the poor, widened by decades of unchecked inequality, reached its breaking point. Trust in governing institutions eroded, replaced by anger, resentment, and despair. Violence and unrest erupted across the globe, fueled by desperation and a sense of injustice. With the collapse of the old order, a new and uncertain future emerged. The world that we knew, with its familiar patterns and structures, faded into oblivion. In its place, a vast landscape of opportunity and danger arose. New power structures emerged, often based on violence and control. Warlords carved out their own domains, preying upon the vulnerable. But amidst the darkness, flickers of hope remained. Communities formed, bound together by shared experiences and a desire to build a better future. Innovative solutions emerged, addressing the challenges of a world grappling with resource scarcity and environmental degradation. A new generation, born into the ashes of the old, carried the seeds of change within them. The year 2040 is a pivotal point in human history. It marks the end of an era and the beginning of another. It is a reminder of the fragility of our civilization and the consequences of ignoring the warnings of the past. But it is also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and our capacity for change. As we stand here in 2100, the world we see around us is a stark reflection of the choices made in 2040. It is a world shaped by both the collapse of the old and the birth of the new. It is a world that is both challenging and hopeful, a world that demands our continued attention and our unwavering commitment to building a more just and sustainable future for generations to come.
2043, the inevitable fall. The year 2043. A year etched in history as the inevitable consequence of a civilization built on unsustainable debt and unchecked greed. The United States government, the once mighty symbol of economic power, finally succumbed to the burden of its own recklessness. Its towering debt, accumulated through decades of profligate spending and short-sighted policies, finally became too heavy to bear. The dominoes began falling in 2040 when the framework of our civilization began to crumble, the collapse of Social Security, the global financial system, and critical infrastructure exposed the deeply flawed foundation upon which our prosperity was built. This, coupled with rising inequality and environmental degradation, eroded the public's trust in institutions and paved the way for widespread unrest. The default on U.S. government debt was not a sudden event, it was the culmination of a long and predictable process. For decades, warnings had been issued by economists and financial experts, but their voices were drowned out by the siren song of easy credit and short-term gains. Politicians, beholden to powerful special interests, continue to prioritize the present over the future, racking up debt with little thought to the consequences. The year 2043 saw the chickens come home to roost. The once invincible dollar lost its power, triggering a global economic crisis. Trade collapsed, investment dried up, and currencies became worthless overnight. Millions of people lost their jobs and savings, plunged into poverty and despair. The world had entered a new era of economic instability and uncertainty. From our vantage point in 2100, the events of 2043 seem like a distant nightmare. But the scars of that era are still present, a constant reminder of the folly of our past. We live in a world where resources are scarce, conflict is rampant, and the very fabric of society is strained. The year 2043 serves as a stark warning to future generations. It is a reminder that the pursuit of endless growth and unchecked materialism ultimately leads to ruin. It is a call for a new economic model, one that prioritizes sustainability, equity, and the long-term well-being of all. We must learn from the mistakes of our ancestors. We must build a future where debt is not a weapon of the powerful but a tool used for responsible development. We must ensure that the tragedy of 2043 is never repeated, and that future generations inherit a world built on a more stable and just foundation.
"2045, a barren future beckons." The year 2045, a year etched in history as a turning point, a grim reminder of the consequences of our disregard for our planet and ourselves. This is the year that the chilling prediction of widespread male infertility became a reality, marking a significant shift in the very fabric of human society. For decades, scientists had warned of declining sperm counts, linking it to our exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals found in everything from plastics and pesticides to personal care products. These chemicals, mimicking our hormones, were wreaking havoc on our reproductive systems, slowly pushing us towards the precipice of a demographic crisis. The year 2045 marked the descent over that precipice. As predicted, the median sperm count reached 0, rendering most men incapable of natural conception. The impact was immediate and profound. Birth rates plummeted, families shrunk, and the population began its inevitable decline. This demographic shift triggered a cascade of consequences. The workforce, already struggling with an aging population, faced a critical shortage of young workers. Economies stagnated as consumer spending declined. Governments grappled with the challenge of providing social services to a shrinking tax base. The social landscape was equally transformed. The traditional family structure, built on the foundation of procreation, was thrown into question. Relationships, communities, and cultural norms evolved to adapt to this new reality. From our vantage point in 2100, the year 2045 stands as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of human health and the environment. It is a testament to the long-term consequences of our actions, a cautionary tale echoing through generations. But amidst the despair, there is also a glimmer of hope. The year 2045 not only highlighted the problem but also spurred the development of new technologies. Advancements in assisted reproductive technologies offered a lifeline to families yearning to have children. Ethical debates around genetic engineering and artificial wombs intensified, paving the way for a future where parenthood might take on entirely new forms. The year 2045 stands as a pivotal point in human history. It is a reminder of our fragility and our responsibility toward ourselves and future generations. It is a call to action, urging us to learn from our mistakes and build a future where humanity can thrive in harmony with the environment. The choices we make today will determine whether the barren future of 2045 remains a grim prophecy or becomes the stepping stone to a new and more sustainable era for humankind.
"2048, the oceans fall silent." The year 2048. A year marked by a haunting silence in the vast expanse of the oceans. The once teeming waters, vibrant with life, fell prey to our insatiable hunger. Overfishing, a relentless assault fueled by greed and short-sightedness, finally delivered its devastating blow. The global fisheries, the lifeblood of coastal communities and a vital source of sustenance for billions, collapsed. This ecological catastrophe was not a sudden event. It was the culmination of decades of rampant exploitation. We had ignored the warnings of scientists and environmentalists, choosing to prioritize short-term gains over the long-term health of our oceans. We had depleted fish populations at an unsustainable rate, using ever more sophisticated technologies to extract the last remaining treasures from the depths. The year 2048 saw the consequences of this recklessness unfold with brutal clarity. Fishing communities were devastated, as livelihoods vanished and entire economies crumbled. Food security became a global concern, as millions lost access to a vital source of protein. The delicate balance of marine ecosystems was disrupted, triggering a chain reaction of extinctions and cascading ecological changes. From our vantage point in 2100, the silence of the oceans serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of our planet. It is a monument to our short-sightedness and a testament to the devastating consequences of unchecked exploitation. But amidst the despair, a glimmer of hope remains. The year 2048 also marked a turning point in our relationship with the oceans. The collapse of fisheries served as a wake-up call, forcing us to confront the reality of our actions. A global movement emerged, demanding sustainable fishing practices and the protection of marine ecosystems. The road ahead is long and arduous. We must invest in sustainable aquaculture and alternative protein sources. We must develop innovative technologies to restore depleted fish populations and protect vulnerable marine ecosystems. We must learn to live in harmony with the oceans, ensuring that their bounty sustains future generations. The year 2048 stands as a pivotal point in human history. It is a reminder of the interconnectedness of life on Earth and the consequences of our actions. It is a call for a new approach, one that prioritizes sustainability and respect for the delicate balance of our planet. The future of our oceans, and ultimately our own future, hangs in the balance. The choices we make today will determine whether the silence of 2048 remains a haunting memory or becomes a catalyst for a more sustainable future for all.
"2050, a world transformed." The year 2050, a year that stands as a testament to the profound changes that had swept across the globe. The climate crisis, a long-simmering threat, finally manifested in its devastating entirety. Sea levels had risen by a foot, swallowing whole coastal communities and displacing millions. Cities like Jakarta, Lagos, Dhaka, Bangkok, and New York City were no longer havens of life, but reminders of our neglect. The once abundant oil reserves, the lifeblood of our industrial civilization, had finally peaked. Production began its inexorable decline, forcing us to confront the limits of our finite resources. The era of cheap energy was over, replaced by a future of austerity and innovation. Peak population, too, arrived in 2050. Reaching 8.6 billion, the human population began its long descent. The combination of environmental degradation, declining resources, and changing demographics painted a stark picture of a future with fewer people and a smaller ecological footprint. The Arctic, once a frozen wilderness, shed its icy cloak. The year 2050 marked the first time in human history that the Arctic was ice-free all year round. This dramatic shift in the Earth's climate system unleashed a cascade of consequences, from unpredictable weather patterns to rising sea levels to the extinction of countless species. The biodiversity crisis reached its zenith in 2050. A staggering 40% of the species on Earth had vanished forever, victims of our relentless exploitation and the changing climate. The vibrant tapestry of life that once adorned our planet was now a tattered remnant, a bleak reminder of the damage we had wrought. From the vantage point of 2100, the year 2050 appears as a turning point in human history. It was a year of loss and devastation, a year that marked the end of an era and the beginning of another. It was a year that forced us to confront the consequences of our actions and the precariousness of our existence on this planet. But amidst the darkness, glimmers of hope remained. The year 2050 also witnessed the birth of a new consciousness. A generation born into a world of scarcity and climate change rose up, demanding a different future. They pushed for a transition to renewable energy, sustainable practices, and a more equitable distribution of resources. The story of 2050 is not just one of loss and despair, but also one of resilience and adaptation. It is a reminder that even in the face of immense challenges, humanity possesses the capacity to change course and build a better future. The legacy of 2050 will be determined by the choices we make today. We can either continue down the path of destruction or forge a new path, one that leads towards a more sustainable and just world for all.
"2067, the last voice of a generation falls silent." The year 2067, a year marked by a quiet passing, a subtle shift in the tapestry of human history. It was the year that Clara Miller, the last known member of the American silent generation, breathed her last. Born in 1928, she had lived through a century of extraordinary change, witnessing firsthand the horrors of war, the triumphs of technological advancement, and the social upheavals that shape the world we live in today. Clara's life was a testament to the resilience and adaptability of the silent generation. Born into the shadow of the Great Depression and thrust into the crucible of World War II, she and her peers learned to persevere amidst hardship. They valued stoicism, hard work, and a strong sense of duty. They were the generation that rebuilt a nation from the ashes, sacrificing their own desires for the sake of a better future for their children. Clara was not a woman of grand pronouncements. She spoke softly, her voice carrying the wisdom of a life well lived. She witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth of new ideas, and the ever-changing face of society. But amidst the tumult, she held fast to the values that had guided her through life: integrity, compassion, and a deep respect for the natural world. In her later years, Clara became a cherished elder in our community, a living link to a bygone era. She shared stories of a simpler time, of a world before instant gratification and technological overload. Her quiet wisdom served as a reminder of the importance of human connection, of the strength we find in shared experiences, and of the responsibility we have to those who come after us. With Clara's passing, a chapter in our history closed. The silent generation, a generation that lived through and shaped a pivotal period in human history, is no more. But their legacy lives on in the values they instilled, the lessons they taught, and the stories they shared. They remind us that true strength lies not in outward displays, but in silent resilience, quiet dignity, and an unwavering commitment to what truly matters. As we stand here in 2100, gazing back at the lives of those who came before us, let us remember Clara and her generation. Let their quiet strength serve as an inspiration, urging us to build a better future for ourselves and for generations to come. Let us ensure that their voices, though silenced, continue to echo through the halls of time, reminding us of the values that have always defined the human spirit: resilience, compassion, and a deep respect for the world we share.
2073, a world turned upside down. The year 2073. A year etched in history as the year the unthinkable became reality. The world finally crossed a demographic threshold, one that would forever alter the fabric of society. For the first time in human history, there were more senior citizens than children on Earth. This demographic shift, long predicted by demographers and social scientists, had finally arrived. The combination of declining birth rates and increasing life expectancy had tipped the scales, leaving a world with a shrinking workforce and an aging population. The implications of this shift were profound and far-reaching. The economy, once fueled by the energy and innovation of youth, now faced a critical shortage of workers. Labor costs rose, businesses struggled to fill positions, and economic growth stagnated. The social safety net, designed for a younger population, became strained under the weight of a growing number of retirees. The political landscape shifted as well. Senior citizens, now a larger and more vocal voting bloc, demanded increased government support for their needs. Healthcare costs skyrocketed, putting a strain on public finances. Intergenerational tensions arose as younger generations struggled to support the needs of their elders while facing their own challenges in a changing world. From our vantage point in 2100, the year 2073 stands as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked population growth and declining birth rates. It is a testament to the profound impact that demographic shifts can have on our societies, our economies, and the very fabric of our lives. But amidst the challenges, there were also opportunities for change. The year 2073 also witnessed the rise of innovative solutions to address the challenges of an aging population. Automation and robotics began to fill the gaps in the workforce. New models of elder care emerged, emphasizing dignity, independence, and social connection. A renewed focus on education and lifelong learning empowered older adults to remain active and engaged members of society. The year 2073 was a pivotal point in human history. It forced us to confront the demographic realities of a changing world. It challenged us to reimagine our social systems, our economic structures, and our very definition of old age. While the challenges were significant, the year also served as a catalyst for innovation and a reminder of the potential of human ingenuity. As we look towards the future, the lessons of 2073 remain crucial. We must continue to develop sustainable solutions to address the challenges of an aging population. We must foster intergenerational understanding and cooperation. We must build a world where everyone, regardless of age, can live with dignity, purpose, and hope. The choices we make today will determine whether the year 2073 remains a stark reminder of past challenges or becomes a stepping stone to a more just and equitable future for all generations.
"2075, a barren legacy." The year 2075, a year that marked the culmination of a silent, insidious threat, the exhaustion of Earth's topsoil. This fertile layer, the very foundation of life on land, had finally succumbed to the relentless assault of unsustainable agricultural practices. Decades of deforestation, monoculture farming, and chemical fertilizers had stripped the soil of its nutrients, leaving behind a barren wasteland incapable of sustaining life. The consequences were catastrophic. Crop yields plummeted, leading to widespread food shortages and famines. Entire communities dependent on agriculture were displaced, forced to migrate to dwindling areas of fertile land. The global food supply chain, already strained by a growing population, fractured under the weight of this unprecedented crisis. The year 2075 also saw the rise of soil colonialism, as nations with remaining fertile land became the targets of aggressive resource acquisition. Wars were fought, alliances formed and shattered, all in the desperate pursuit of the very foundation of life. The once vibrant tapestry of global cooperation unraveled, replaced by a dystopian landscape of conflict and desperation. From our vantage point in 2100, the year 2075 stands as a stark monument to our collective neglect. It is a chilling reminder of the fragility of our ecosystems and the consequences of unchecked exploitation. It is a testament to the short-sightedness of a civilization that prioritized short-term gains over the long-term health of the planet. But amidst the despair, there were also glimmers of hope. The year 2075 also witnessed the birth of a new agricultural movement. Pioneering farmers and scientists experimented with regenerative farming techniques, focusing on restoring soil health and building resilience. Urban agriculture flourished as communities sought to reclaim control over their food systems. Rooftop gardens and vertical farms provided vital sustenance in the face of dwindling resources. The year 2075 served as a wake-up call, a stark reminder that our prosperity is inextricably linked to the health of the planet. It forced us to confront the limitations of our current agricultural systems and embrace new paradigms of sustainability. It challenged us to reimagine our relationship with the land and learn to live in harmony with the natural world. The legacy of 2075 is a complex one. It is a story of loss and devastation, a reminder of the consequences of our actions. But it is also a story of resilience, innovation, and the human spirit's enduring capacity for change. The choices we make today will determine whether the year 2075 remains a grim reminder of our past or becomes a catalyst for a future where we cultivate a more sustainable and just relationship with the Earth, ensuring that future generations inherit a fertile legacy and a planet that can sustain life for generations to come.
"2088, the final echo of a boom." The year 2088. A year marked by a bittersweet silence, a pause in the symphony of human history. It was the year that Harold Hal Johnson, the last known member of the American baby boomer generation, breathed his last. Born in 1955, Hal had witnessed firsthand the extraordinary arc of his generation's journey, from the optimism of the post-war era to the social upheavals of the 60s and 70s, the economic triumphs and technological marvels of the late 20th century, and finally, the dramatic shifts of the 21st. Hal was a vibrant spirit, a walking encyclopedia of his generation's experiences. He spoke of rock and roll concerts that reverberated through stadiums, of moon landings that ignited imaginations, and of Woodstock's utopian dreams. He recalled the fight for civil rights and the Vietnam War's searing impact. He shared stories of economic booms and busts, of disco dancing and the rise of personal computers. But Hal also acknowledged the flaws of his generation, their excesses and mistakes. He spoke of the environmental damage inflicted in the pursuit of progress, of the social inequalities that remained unaddressed, and the political divisions that grew increasingly stark. He recognized that the legacy of the boomers was a complex tapestry, woven with threads of both triumph and failure. In his later years, Hal became a cherished storyteller, sharing his generation's history with open ears and a gentle heart. He helped bridge the gap between generations, reminding us of the roots from which we all sprouted. He taught us to value the lessons learned, to celebrate the progress made, but also to acknowledge the challenges that remained. With Hal's passing, the baby boomer generation faded into the annals of history. Their voices, once loud and vibrant, now echoed only in memories and stories. But their impact on the world is undeniable. They shaped the cultural landscape, challenged social norms, and reshaped the political landscape. They were a generation of contradictions, of idealism and pragmatism, of rebellion and conformity. As we stand here in 2100, gazing back at the legacies of those who came before us, let us remember Hal and his generation. Let their experiences serve as lessons, their triumphs as inspirations, and their mistakes as cautionary tales. Let us carry their stories forward, building upon their achievements and learning from their errors. Let us strive to create a future that honors their legacy and fulfills the promise of a world that is more just, more equitable, and more sustainable for all. The boomers may be gone, but their echo will continue to resonate, urging us to build a better future for generations to come. And perhaps, in their silence, they offer us a final lesson, that even the most boisterous and impactful voices eventually fade, leaving behind a legacy for others to carry forward. Let us ensure that the legacy of the boomers is one we can be proud of, a legacy of progress, resilience, and a constant striving for a better tomorrow.
2095, a silent requiem for the ocean's heartbeat. The year 2095. A year etched in history as the year the silence descended upon the Atlantic. The once mighty Gulf Stream, the lifeblood of Europe's temperate climate, fell still. This silent giant, the driver of global weather patterns and the guardian of coastal ecosystems, succumbed to the relentless assault of climate change. The consequences were swift and devastating. The warmth that once bathed European shores receded, replaced by a creeping chill. Blizzards and freezing temperatures descended upon regions accustomed to mild winters. Crop failures and widespread famine followed, as the delicate balance of agriculture was thrown into disarray. Across the Atlantic, the effects were no less dramatic. The North American coastline witnessed a dramatic shift in weather patterns. Hurricanes intensified, their fury unleashed upon unprepared communities. Droughts gripped the land, turning fertile fields into barren wastelands. The once bustling cities became ghost towns, as populations migrated in search of a more hospitable climate. The year 2095 marked not only a turning point in climate history, but also a profound shift in the global power dynamic. Nations previously reliant on the Gulf Stream's warmth scrambled to adapt, while those previously hampered by harsh winters saw unexpected opportunities arise. Geopolitical tensions rose as resource scarcity and climate refugees triggered conflict and instability. From our vantage point in 2100, the year 2095 stands as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the consequences of ignoring the warnings of science. It is a testament to the fragility of our ecosystems and the devastating impact of disrupting the delicate balance of nature. But amidst the despair, there are also glimmers of hope. The year 2095 also witnessed the rise of a global movement demanding action. Renewable energy sources were rapidly developed and adopted. International cooperation intensified, leading to innovative solutions for climate adaptation and mitigation. A new generation, born into a world altered by the Amex's collapse, emerged with a deep understanding of the need for sustainability and a strong commitment to building a more resilient future. The year 2095 will forever be remembered as a year of loss and devastation. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. It is a story of resilience, innovation, and the human spirit's enduring capacity for change. The choices we make today will determine whether the year 2095 remains a grim reminder of past mistakes or becomes a catalyst for a future where humanity lives in harmony with the planet, respecting the delicate balance of nature and ensuring a sustainable future for generations to come. The silence of the Gulf Stream may be a somber reminder of what we have lost, but it is also a clarion call to action. It urges us to learn from the past, adapt to the present, and build a better future for ourselves and for all living things. Let us ensure that the Amex's silent requiem does not become a lament for our own demise, but a testament to our capacity for resilience, innovation, and collective action in the face of adversity.
Living in the aftermath, 2100. The sun beats down relentlessly, baking the dusty earth under my feet. The air hangs heavy, thick with the scent of parched soil and despair. This is my world, the world of 2100, a world far different from the one my ancestors knew. Past scientists had predicted a population of 6.6 to 7.0 billion in this year. But their predictions were made in a time of naive optimism before the full fury of climate change had unfolded. The collapse of the Gulf Stream, the acidification of the oceans, the devastating famines, these events have taken their toll, leaving behind a mere 2.5 billion survivors on this planet. Japan, once a vibrant hub of technology and innovation, is now a shadow of its former self. Its population, once a source of national pride, now barely reaches 26 million. The bustling streets of Tokyo are now eerily quiet, the echoes of the past bouncing off empty buildings and abandoned skyscrapers. Italy, too, has been ravaged by the changing climate. The once fertile plains are now arid, the lifeblood of agriculture sucked away by the relentless sun. The population has dwindled to a meager 14 million, their vibrant culture struggling to survive in the face of existential threat. Spain, Portugal, Thailand, South Korea, these are just a few of the once thriving nations that have seen their populations halved. The laughter of children playing in the streets has been replaced by the mournful silence of a dying civilization. But even in this desolate landscape, hope flickers. The human spirit is resilient, and amidst the ruins, we are building a new world. We are developing new technologies, harnessing the power of the sun and wind to power our cities. We are creating new food sources, growing crops in labs and vertical farms. We are learning to live in harmony with the earth, respecting the delicate balance that sustains all life. The road to recovery will be long and arduous. We carry the scars of the past, the memories of a world lost. But we also carry the seeds of a new future, a future where humanity and nature coexist in harmony. We are the survivors, the inheritors of a broken planet, but we are also the architects of its rebirth. Living in the aftermath of the 21st century's cataclysms is a humbling experience. It is a constant reminder of the fragility of our existence and the consequences of our actions. But it is also a testament to the ingenuity of the human spirit and the unyielding hope that burns within each of us. We are the last embers of a dying fire, but from these ashes, a new dawn shall rise.